Hi Capricorn, welcome to Yellow Card No Tarot with me. My name is Carole. And if you're coming back for another reading, thank you for supporting me. And I hope you've subscribed to my channel because it really helps me get these videos out to people. And I think there's going to be a lot of healing that needs to be done this year. And if you're new to my channel, welcome as well. So this is going to be a general reading, and because it's January 2026, I really struggled with what I was going to do for this reading because I wanted to make it kind of something that was going to wrap up, 2025. And so what do we need to do to get into 2026? And kind of had an idea in mind. I was flip-flopping. And then there was a storm the other day, and it was a really bad windstorm and with snow, and I live in Eastern Canada. So at one point I was in the middle of my living room and with my cat as well, because he was petrified and I was petrified. I mean, I've always been scared of windstorms, but what was happening was it really felt like there was a piece of my house at the front that I just felt like somebody was just tugging at it, and you could hear it like ripping away. And of course, in my head, I'm like, oh, this is nothing, right? And I'm just imagining this. It's just maybe something up there that's, flapping. And so next day I woke up and I was looking out the bathroom window, and I see this white thing at the back of my property. I live on an acre property, so it was quite far back, and it was like kind of blending in with the snow, but there wasn't enough snow on the ground to cover it. And I thought, it's just a piece of snow. And I was staring at it, I was going, no, I knew it wasn't a piece. I knew it wasn't snow, but I was trying to deny that this could have been this thing that got ripped off my house. So this isn't the second time that this has happened. In my previous house, the same thing has happened where I've had a piece of fascia rip off the roof. And so I finally put my boots on, went outside. And before I did that, I knew this wasn't random. I mean, I knew it was random. So whenever something happens like this that's random, I was like, okay, there's a message here for me. And so some of you may know that have been following me. I'm a shamanic practitioner. And in the world of shamanism, everything is alive. So I knew that what I needed to do was to take my rattles and to go and rattle to this piece of fascia, metal fascia, and to ask it why it came off my roof. And I mean, that's how I work, right? Like, it's just, I know that there's a message here for me, just like a lot of people will, sometimes, and it's interesting because I'm going to be pulling you a spirit animal, but a lot of people will get messages from animals, but everything's alive. So, in my training, we've had to actually rattle to rocks, and you can ask them, how long have you been? How long have you been around? You can ask some things to the rock and it'll talk to you. I know it sounds kind of, a little bit crazy, but after you've worked with a few objects, after a while you think, yeah, this is true. So I started rattling, and I heard a message right away, and I wanted to know, like, why did you come off my roof? What message do you have? And I heard the message, I couldn't stay here anymore. And the message is always for me. And so I realized that in my own life, there was something that I needed to let go of because I couldn't stay where I was. And so there was something I was holding on to. And so I really had to, and I know what it is now, and I've been thinking about it in the past. And so right away I thought, well, this is going to be what I'm going to do my reading on for my channel. Happens often. I'll often put readings on here, and it's because I've either just worked through something or I'm working through something. And yeah, so here we go. We're going to be looking at what situation have you been in for a long time? Where have you been staying in? Where have you been stuck? Where it's just, it's time to let it go. If it's a thing, like addiction or something you're addicted. Yeah, I don't, you know, anything, a person, something you need to walk away from, someone you need to walk away from. We're going to find out what situation. Could be you're sitting in depression. You know, it could be some big emotion that you're hanging on to, that it's like, okay, it's finally time to let this go. So, and then we're going to look at what's blocking you from moving on. So what do you know, what is it? Where does this come from? And whenever we have something that we need to finally let go of, it's because we usually have to do some grieving. There's something that needs healing from the past that we need to finally get to. And you know, it could be something that you've been grieving for a long time, but it's like, okay, it's time now. And so we're going to look at that, what's blocking it. And so we'll do a little bit of shadow work in part 2. And then in part 3, we're going to ask for some guidance from the tarot as to, you know, a little bit more of how you can start to heal this. And then I will offer you a video or maybe a playlist at the end from my other channel called Carole Cares. And that will give you some real help with how to work on whatever you need to work on. And then I'm going to offer you a spirit animal at the end. And I work with power animals, actually, and they're spirits. And that's one of the things that a shamanic practitioner can bring to you, is a power animal that you can have, and you take this animal with you everywhere you go. And I do. I take my animal, my power animal is always with me everywhere I go. And, you know, I could be walking down the street and I could say, well, there's a person coming, you know, up to me, and I was like, is this a safe person? Do I need to cross the road? Or, and I'll get an answer. I've almost been in an accident before, and I heard the word, you know, turn left. Somebody said, turn left, and that was my power animal speaking to me. So, it's really a cool thing once you can have that power animal that you can take with you. And we're all born with these guardian spirits, these power animals. We're born with one, and I've had one recently retrieved for me. You can have more than one power animal, and one was retrieved for me that was has been around since birth, and so that was retrieved. That spirit was retrieved for me too. So anyway, so I do offer 15-minute consultations that are completely free, and the link is below in my description box. If you're interested in just talking to me about, you know, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I'm looking at, is it something that I can help you with, you might want to do that. And then you can decide, you know, after that, if you want to work with me anymore. It's completely up to you. You don't even have to tell me after the 15-minute consultation. I'll send you an email after that, and you don't even have to respond if you don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, there's no pressure at all. So let's begin with your reading, Capricorn. I'm going to be starting off with the Curious Travels deck. So let's pull 3 cards. I've already shuffled that beforehand. So I want to know what situation Capricorn has been dealing with for a long time, right? Somewhere where they can't stay anymore. And so you start off with the Empress in reverse. What's blocking Capricorn from moving on? What's blocking Capricorn from moving on? Ooh, 3 of Pentacles. And I know there's a couple cards I noticed were flipped, and that's okay. I think I just, before I came on. Advice from the tarot right now. Oh, you have 2 that came out. So, you have the Queen of Wands. I love that Queen of Wands. And this one wanted to come out too. I want to come out. The 2 of Swords. 2 of Swords. All right, they're side by side. That's interesting that those 2 are side by side. Yeah, interesting combination. Now I can see why those came out. Okay, we'll put that away. I'm going to pull your spirit animal right now so I don't forget. And I'll just keep it here, and I'll let you know what it is at the end. Because it's always a little surprise. It's interesting because I've been on a number of shamanic courses, and not all courses, but some of the courses will have power animal retrieval as part of it. And so every time it's like, okay, we're gonna, practice getting another animal for someone else, your partner, and it's like, what am I going to get next? What am I going to get next? It's always exciting to do that and to offer that to people and to see what their expression is, right? Because, yeah. Okay, so let's begin with what situation have you been in for too long, Capricorn? We start off with the Empress. And the Empress is the second half of the feminine archetype in the major arcana in the tarot. And so she brings to you an incredible amount of emotions. She leads from her body. She's in her body. She's completely embodied, because in order to get in touch with our emotions, we have to be in our body, right? But she's in reverse here. And so that tells me, I mean, this is a big energy that you're starting off with. And whenever there's a major arcane on the table, I have to pay attention to it. And that's your first card on the table. And so what you need, where you can't stay anymore, is in the position of in denial and pushing down. And I'm going to get some more information on that. But I see here that you have been doing your damnedest to not feel. And, you could have been one of those people that has sworn off of healing. Sometimes we can say, I'm not healing anymore. I'm not touching those emotions. I've tried to open up that Pandora's box of emotions, and it's like, nope, shut it all down. It's too much for me. But you really, maybe you're into, maybe there are addictions involved. That's how our addictions help us with numbing our pain, right? When those emotions, those big emotions want to come up, like grief, like anger, like shame, fear. But, and I'm going to say that you're also very ungrounded. You're not in your body, because if you were in your body, you would be feeling this. And that's why a lot of us are really, really up in our heads. We control everything with our mind. And because it's a safe place up here, right? Because there's no emotions in our head. And this is where our ego self lives, up here. And it's interesting that you got the Two of Swords over here, because it has like when I look at this, I think stubborn as a bull. And that's advice from the tarot over there. So I can see how that, maybe you are a very stubborn person, I know Capricorn as a sign is very ambitious, very hardworking, very disciplined. And, that can really, there's a lot of good qualities there, but sometimes when you get way too stubborn and way too disciplined, and you can really, become someone that is led by their ego. And so I think that's what you really need to let go of, is that whole trying to deny your emotions, or that you have emotions, and that we need to feel them, and we need to get in our body to feel them. We need to get grounded. So I'm going to ask for some more information on exactly, tell me some more about how Capricorn is maybe denying their emotions or not feeling their emotions. And just give me some more clarity on that. What is it they need to let go of in particular, if you can specify that? A couple cards for that. Whoa, almost half of the deck wanted to talk to you. Okay, a couple cards. There's one. It's a lot better than half of you. And I can tell that one more wants to come. Not yet. Okay, there we go. Okay. You have the King of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. All right, so I think I talked too soon, but because the King of Swords came up. And so the King of Swords is the masculine side of you. And in particular, the swords represent our mental energy, our mental thoughts, our opinions. And so definitely it's saying that your ego is very much in control. You lead by your mind and you stay up here. ungrounded, and oftentimes, we're dissociated. If that's what happens when we're out of our body and we're up here in our head and making all our decisions from our head, we're not in touch with our intuition. That's our inner knowing and our gut knowing. That's inside of us. We have to be in our body to get in touch with our intuition. So very much up in your head right now. So you have the masculine energy out. Then you have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And the Wheel of Fortune is a card that talks about a major change of circumstance, right? And I'm going to say, I just heard it. It's like, this is in reverse right now. But what I heard was there's something coming, a major change of circumstance that could happen if you continue to stay up in your head and not feel these emotions. And so I'm very curious, what that could be. But sometimes if we deny our emotions, right? If we push down our fear, if we push down our grief and our shame and all those big emotions that we need to feel, they have to go somewhere. And that means they get stuck in our body. And so what happens is that's where our physical ailments come from in our body, these diseases or these, people, especially when, a lot of times, back problems, and people talk about my back problem, my back. Well, your back is actually your ego self that's really trying to stop you from coming into your body. And so we can get these physical ailments, and our body will tell us, listen, you got to feel this stuff or you're going to get ill. And I see that, it's almost like there's a little warning sign of, there's something, or it could be, it's kind of like saying, this needs to change. There's a big change here that needs to happen. And that could be as well, because if there is no change is going to happen, then, you're going to start feeling it in your body. And so what's blocking you from moving on? We have the Three of Pentacles here. And the Three of Pentacles is a card that I like to call it, if it's not in the shadow right here, I like to call it my therapy card, getting support from somebody, getting help. I can see when you were younger, because this middle part here is when you were young, when you were an adolescent or a young child. You didn't get the support that you needed with, I'm going to assume, your emotions. A lot of us, when we expressed our emotions when we were younger, we were told to put them away. And so I'm gonna get some more information on this about what did you need support with when you were younger that you didn't get. And that's what I'm going to ask here. I need a couple more cards to clarify this of not getting support. I'm going to say that one wanted to come out. All right. So you had the Four of Cups, the one that wanted to come out, and then the Death card in reverse. So yeah, here you go. This is this individual right here. I want you to picture this as, in place of this young man that's sitting here. I want you to put yourself in this place of a young child, sitting in the corner and maybe told, after you've showed your anger, you were told to go and sit down, go sit in timeout or whatever, and here they are right here, sitting here. And so I think at a period of time in your life, you put these Three of Cups, you put those away. And you decided that any other offer right here, like this is another cup, this is another emotion, this is another offer of you, to use your emotions. You've decided that that was a dangerous thing when you were younger. Your emotions, you were told to put them away and don't take them out, because there are certain ones that were very dangerous. And we're often told that with our own anger. And anger is such a beautiful emotion that brings back our power, that brings back change in our life if we can express it in a grounded way. I was one of them that was told not to take out my anger when I was younger. And so as an adult, it was very difficult for me to finally learn how to express it and allow myself to use it in a grounded way. And then right beside it is the Death card. And it's in reverse here. And the Death card in an upright position talks about things that need to go. And I believe, and oftentimes, I believe that because this is in reverse and because this is in your shadow here, I believe that you were told that, you know, those emotions that you expressed needed to go, right? That's what you were told. And so very much explains to me that your emotions were shut down when you were younger and you were not allowed to use them. And so what's happening here is when you know you have these big emotions that need to be felt, you are petrified, or should I say your ego self, because your ego self is a very scared part. And so it's petrified to touch those emotions because it knows that it's not allowed to. But you see, our ego self only remembers what happened to us when we were younger. It doesn't realize that we're an adult now and that we're big and that we can feel these emotions, but the ego self still thinks you're a child. And it's trying to protect you because our ego self is all about protection. And it did protect us when we were younger. But it doesn't need to anymore because you're big and you can feel these emotions. And so it's time to almost like, you know what, ego self, I can do this. Thank you. And then, so what's the advice from the tarot? Well, you have this Queen of Wands here. And the Queen is, we already talked about the King and how that's your masculine part of you. Your ego self. Well, the Queen is the feminine part of you. So here's another feminine card that you have, right? It's interesting that you started out with a feminine card and here you're ending with. Advice from the tarot is, here's these qualities, these beautiful feminine qualities that the universe wants you to start to recognize that you have. And the Queen of Wands in particular, the Wands talk about our creativity, our authenticity. And when I mean creativity, it can mean putting yourself first. It's time now that you focus on taking yourself into this new direction that you're going into in 2026. Because here's the stubborn bull that I talked about at the beginning, right? Because here's these two swords right here. And normally these two swords, I said that swords represent your mental thoughts, what you're thinking. They're our mental body. And usually in the Rider-Waite deck, it's covering your heart, right? And I think you've covered your heart for too long now. You've protected, your ego self is trying to protect your heart. But it's okay now to feel. And so I think there's a real need for you to, like I said, to maybe concentrate on how can I get back into my body, because there is a new direction for you. And when we get back into our body, that's when our intuition will kick in for us as well, because you really need to take the focus off of your mind and going back into your body. I'm going to ask for a couple more clarifiers here for guidance, maybe just one. See what comes out here for you. Yeah, okay. So what it's doing is it gives me the Five of Swords. What it's decided to do is, all right, I'm going to give you Five of Swords in reverse. And I think this is the big emotion, and which is nice. It's actually given me an emotion that we're going to focus on here. Rather than saying, okay, we're going to look at all your emotions, there's one big one here that you need to look at. And that would have happened when you were younger, when you were told that you weren't allowed to feel. Put those feelings away. Well, you would have felt that you didn't matter. And this is what this card, this Five of Swords, represents. I call this card my bullying card. I like to focus on that individual at the back that's just been beaten in this fight that they were in, and they have their hand over their face, and so they're feeling a lot of shame. This is my shame card in the deck. I call it my bullying card. Sometimes it depends on what the situation is. You know, maybe you were bullied when you were younger, bullied from kids on the playground, bullied at home, but there's a big emotion here that you need to focus on, and that's shame. And that's that whole, we don't talk about shame that much because it's such a shitty feeling to feel. I find with my shame, there's also a lot of grief in there, and it comes from just not being able to be the person that you wanted to be and not being able to express your emotions when you were younger. And so there's a lot of unworthiness in that. Everybody has shame on a continuum, right? Some of us have a lot of it, some of us have some, but we all have it. And it's something that we're not born with, something that's given to us from people that have it themselves. And so at the end, I'm gonna leave you with a playlist on shame, and I'll give you some ideas in there of what it is and what to do about it. One of the biggest things that is really important about shame is if you can tell someone how you feel about yourself. Tell someone how you feel, that shit that's sitting in your system, and say, that's how I feel about myself. And if you can tell someone that, it just opens up your whole world, because shame has this secretness about it where we don't want people to know about it. We don't want people to know that we feel like crap and we feel unworthy about ourselves. But again, it's not something that you were born with. It's something that people gave you. And so when you tell people about it, it kind of takes off that layer of secrecy around it. And so you have wolf spirit, turn knowledge into wisdom. Wolf spirit leads you deep into the enchanted forest that holds the secrets to your life. I just talked about shame being a secret, right? Can you sense her beckoning you to follow, asking you to take all you have learned and all you are learning and make it yours? Can you integrate it all into your body, mind, and spirit? Whatever lessons you learned along the way, do not leave them unexamined. Be loyal to your dreams, to your soul, and to turning knowledge into wisdom and experience into magic. You're the one you have been waiting for. You are the one you have been waiting for. Be still and know that the sound of your heart beats in harmony with the whole world. The appearance of wolf spirit is an auspicious omen that says you are truly in alignment with your destiny. And I did see this Queen of Wands as saying, there's something out there for you. I love this. You are the one that you've been waiting for. And when we can realize that, changes a lot for ourselves as well. And so, Capricorn, I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through this month. This is a very difficult journey to try to get in touch with our emotions and to feel them. But it's the most important one in your life. So take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye-bye.